Hi everyone, welcome to tonight's Facebook and Instagram Live. I'm Christine Daal with Fashion Ninja Warrior, and tonight we are doing a live Q&A. This is episode number 72. That means there are over 71 free live training videos inside our Fearless Fashionpreneur Facebook group. So if you're on Instagram, just know that this video will be deleted at the end of this broadcast. However, you can head on over to our Fearless Fashionpreneur Facebook group and watch it there. Hi Grandstand Fashion, thanks for joining. So we are doing, hi Denise, a Q&A, so get your questions ready. I'm gonna answer all the questions that were already previously sent in. I wanna honor those people first. We're gonna answer any questions that weren't answered on the last Facebook Live, and then I'll get to any new questions that we have if time permits. So don't forget to give me your hearts, give me your thumbs up. I need it. It's like oxygen to me, guys. I love it. I love hearing from you. Let me know how everything is going. Hi, Daniela. How are you? Okay, so today we are going to talk about things like ways to make customization easier, when to start an Instagram account, 2 reasons on-demand manufacturing is very difficult, the best fabrics to use for sublimation printing, and so much more. Hi, 1938 Design LLC. Thanks for joining. Hi, Sharona. So let's get right to it. Okay, so Juliana Lupinek, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, asked last time, what does a designer do in a situation where they design something that can be customized to the customer? For example, I make jackets with the customer's own initials on the back. How do I go about manufacturing something that is specific to that customer? Okay, so Juliana, I hope you're watching, or if you're watching the replay, hopefully you can chime in here. So this is actually why I exactly do not recommend doing customization. It is super, super complicated. It can be a nightmare, okay? Customized products cannot be easily mass produced. You have to keep in mind you're going to make the most profit, you're going to make the most money when you can start really bulk mass producing things, okay? Walmart makes a ton of money because they're producing things at like 50,000 units, okay? If you're only producing 50 units, it's a lot harder for you to make that much money, right? Walmart only needs to make $1 on each one or $2 off each one for them to make $100,000, right? If you're only selling 50, how much of a profit do you have to make in order to make $100,000, right? So you get the idea. So customization is difficult because everything is customized, but there are ways around it. And of course, you want to figure out how you can possibly do it in a way that will still work for you. So my question to you, Juliana, is how are you doing these initials? Are they embroidered on the jackets? Are there heat transfer? Are they patches, right? And if so, let's say they're patches, embroidered patches, right, that are sewn on top. Can you purchase all these patches ahead of time so that you've got like a couple of each letter, and then you kind of just put them on every time a jacket is ordered? So the jackets are mass produced, and then they're kind of sitting there waiting to have the logos, or initials I should say, added on top, right? Or maybe you have a small heat press machine in your home, right? And so these jackets are mass produced outside, and then you're doing the heat press initials in your own home as you get orders, right? So you want to kind of figure out a way around this, and it's going to kind of depend on how you're actually putting these initials on the garment. So give me some feedback, Juliana. I hope you watch this. If you're on, if you're not on, hopefully you're watching the recording, and give me some feedback. Hopefully that helps, okay? Next question comes from Melissa Jones. Melissa, I hope you're watching. Should you start having an Instagram account if you don't have a website or a logo yet? So yes, absolutely. I definitely recommend having your Instagram account as soon as possible. But keep in mind, do not start anything. Don't start Instagram, don't start a website, don't start a logo before you actually apply for your trademark. So the TESS website, the Trademark Electronic Search System website, is not all-inclusive. I used to advise that my clients go to that website first to double check if their trademark would be available. However, it is not all-inclusive anymore, guys. So your only way to really know if you're going to be able to get your trademark is to go through a trademark attorney that can do a comprehensive search, and we have a great attorney that we can recommend. So DM me, message me on Facebook, email us, and I'll send you our trademark attorney. We did a Facebook Live interview with her last year, and so she's awesome, she's amazing, and she can help you with all the trademark stuff. All right, cool. Hi, Kay O'Neill. Hi, Kronos. 33, so be it Clothier. Thanks for joining, Roberta. Thanks for joining. Okay, get your questions ready, guys, because as soon as I'm done all these questions, I will go to your questions. Rocio, hey, how are you? Thanks for joining. Okay, next question comes from Alicia May. What is your opinion on free website builders like Wix? So there are a ton of good ones, especially if you're on a tight budget. The only one I personally recommend is Shopify for e-commerce, and that's because it is the best e-commerce platform. And we actually did an entire blog post on the different websites that are available out there, and I gave you an entire breakdown on the pros and cons of each. So you can head on over to our website and our blog and check out that blog post where we literally break down the differences between Shopify, Wix, Big Cartel, WooCommerce, all of that stuff, guys. Okay, so it's all on the blog. It's all for free. It's all right there. So make sure you're reading our blog posts, okay? Okay, next question comes from Melissa Jones. How do you not have any inventory when people buy from your website? Do you have on-demand product making? Wouldn't that take a long time to fulfill the customer's request? So there's many ways that I teach my clients how to do pre-sales and not have inventory, whether it's one-on-one clients, whether you're part of our Fashion Startup Intensive group coaching program. This is exactly what I teach inside this class. Essentially, the whole point is that you need to find people who want your product before the product's even finished, so that by the time it is finished, you actually have customers already lined up. And there's many different ways to do that. Now, on the term of on-demand manufacturing, yes, on-demand manufacturing does exist, but I don't typically recommend it because either the cost is going to be super, super high because you're going to be producing one at a time or a couple at a time instead of mass producing, which is where you're going to get your costs really far down, or there's going to be limitations, right? There's a lot of on-demand manufacturing places that you can produce things, but it'll be like a legging and it's a basic legging. You can't really modify it. You can't change it. You have to use their pattern, their fit, that sort of thing, right? So you're gonna have a lot of limitations as far as product design is concerned. So that's the whole deal with demand manufacturing. So for those two reasons, I typically don't recommend on-demand manufacturing. And instead, I recommend that you work with us, whether you're a student in one of our online courses or you're a one-on-one coaching client, and we can help you and figure out a way to do a pre-sale strategy so that you don't have tons of inventory left over. Okay. All right, so now I'm gonna go into the rest of the questions from people that responded on our Facebook and Instagram posts. Okay, so Daniela Jacques. Daniela, I know you're on. Would I dilute my brand if I start selling accessories in my online store before my brand launches? Does it matter? Should I wait? No, not at all, as long as the price point and the target customer matches, okay? It has to be the same. Don't offer cheap fashion jewelry on your online store if you're gonna start selling $500 garments, okay, as part of your line, right? So make sure that it's the same price point, make sure it's the same target customer, because whoever you start drawing and attracting to your website, you want them also to eventually go and buy your clothes and buy your line, right? But no, actually I recommend this. I think it's a great way to get your online store started. I think it's a great way to easily start having a fashion business without having to actually make your product and go through all the headache and go through all of the financial part of starting your own fashion line, which is very costly. It's a very easy, cost-efficient way to get started with your fashion business, is to sell other people's products. So I highly recommend it. Okay, I hope that helped you. Okay, next question comes from Jaslyn Jalil. I think I'm pronouncing your name correctly, hopefully. What are the steps of getting ready for your first fashion show? Is it a good idea to do a pre-sale before the show or just launch at the show? So, Jasleen, and I think you told me you're going to watch the replay. I hope you were on right now because I could ask you, why are you doing a fashion show? Is it for a launch party? Is it for an event that you're doing? If so, that's great. I highly recommend doing fashion shows at events that you're hosting, right? Whether it's a trunk show, a launch party, a pop-up, right? That's all good. If it's not for an event and this is an actual fashion show, there are very few fashion shows I highly recommend designers to do. Otherwise, I don't recommend you do fashion shows, period, okay? And I know that sounds drastic, but there's a reason. There are no buyers at these shows, guys. People do these shows, people come to these shows for fun, right? It's entertainment, it's fun. you're not going to get that many sales out of the show unless it's there are only 2 very specific shows that I recommend. The other ones I do not recommend you do, okay? They're a waste of time. They're a waste of your money. Yes, you're going to get some press. Yes, you're going to get some hype on social media, but it's not going to translate to sales. And at the end of the day, you need to make money, okay? So you really want to make sure that you're doing a fashion show for the right reason. Now, as far as pre-sales go, before the show and whether you should do that, etc., I would really need to sit down with you and figure out what's your budget, what are your channels of distribution, what's your strategy, what are you selling, right? Because I need kind of all of this information in order to really give you the best advice on a launch strategy. Guys, you really need to understand this industry is not black and white. There's a lot of gray areas, and if there was a simple answer to this question, you would have already found it, right? All of my clients pay me because I develop a strategy for them, and it depends on so many different variables that it's hard to say, okay, you should do this and you should do that. What works for one brand may not work for you and may not work for another company, but it works for that brand because of X, Y, and Z, right? So this is why people work with us. This is why people pay me. So if you're interested in working with us, you can set up a free 20-minute call. Just email us, info@fashioninjawarrior.com. Otherwise, go back and watch our Facebook Live episode number 40 on what does the word launch mean anyway, where we talk about what you need to do to prepare for a launch to make it successful, okay? And I give you a checklist in that Facebook Live that you can download so that you can know exactly what you need before you launch, okay? All right, cool. Is that helping? Does this help you guys? Okay, great. Tina wants to know, is it a good idea to sell clothing online before branching out into your own designs? Yes, Tina. So I kind of already answered this for Daniela. Your question is very similar. If you are thinking about selling other people's products on your online boutique, yes, I do recommend it. Again, as long as the price point and the customer are in sync. The process of selling online is the same, whether you're selling your own products or somebody else's products. So if you can at least master that portion of the business, then you can eventually move on to developing your own line. And it's actually really smart because once you have the customers, once you have the followers, you can sell them whatever you want. So the hardest part is getting those customers in the beginning. And so if you do that with other people's products by just reselling it on your website, that's a great, great way to get started, okay? Hopefully that helps, Tina. I hope you're on, Tina. Okay, Tina also wants to know what fabrics are the most economical to do sublimation printing designs with. So, Tina, anything with polyester, nylon, lycra, spandex, any of these fibers will take well to sublimation printing, which is why a lot of swimwear brands, a lot of activewear brands all do sublimation printing. The one fiber that does not do well is cotton. So cotton cannot take the high heat from the temperatures needed to do sublimation printing. And so cotton fabrics do not work. So if you're going to use cotton, it's better to do something like a screen printing or direct to garment printing, but not sublimation printing, okay? Hopefully that helps. And if you're interested in sublimation printing, we're actually going to a sublimation printer on our Miami tour. Right now we have literally one spot left for the Miami tour. It's May 31st. So if you can attend, or if you're interested in attending, definitely head over to fashionninjawarrior.com/events to sign up for that event. Also, just a side note, our LA manufacturing tour is already sold out and our retail tour is almost sold out as well. So guys, these tours sell out extremely, extremely fast. We're gonna post the New York City one in a couple days. So definitely be sure that you sign up as soon as possible. Do not wait till the last minute or they will be sold out, I promise you, okay? Hi, Doreen, how are you? Okay, next question comes from Juliet. She asks, how do I push things out? Is there another way other than social media? So Juliet, I hope you're on because I kind of have some questions for you about this. I'm assuming that you mean push things out by how do I market things or how do I promote things? I'm guessing that's what you mean by this question. Let me know if you're on, if I'm heading in the right direction. But yes, there's a ton of ways that you can promote things and market things besides social media. And this is exactly what I teach all of my clients and all of my students. There's things like press, celebrities, influencers, Facebook ads, Google ads, affiliate marketing, blogging, events, right? There's so many different ways that you can promote stuff. But let me just say that social media is a huge part of that equation and it's becoming bigger and bigger every single day. But a lot of it, people don't really understand what to do on social media. So a lot of my clients I find are on social media, they're posting on social media, but they don't know how to properly use social media to promote their brand and promote their products to actually equate to sales, okay? And there is a very strategic way that you do it. And this is what I teach all of my clients and students. So definitely, if you're interested in working with us, sign up for that 20-minute discovery call so we can talk about how we can possibly work together. We have a ton of online courses as well that talk about all of this. They're super, super affordable. We have our Mastering Digital Marketing class. We have our How to Drive Traffic Online and Boost Sales. We also have our PR Like a Boss course. And also you can work with us one-on-one or sign up for our Fashion Startup Intensive group coaching program. All right, sorry guys on Instagram. I don't know what happened. My Instagram failed. All right, we still got Facebook. I don't know what happened. What happened on Instagram, people? Okay, maybe we'll get the Instagram people back. All right. In the meantime, we will continue on Facebook. This is why I do it on 2 platforms, because you never know what's going on. All right, so Denise wants to know, Denise, I think you're on. What is a reasonable time frame to receive your first set of samples? Okay, so kind of depends on what you define as first samples. So Denise, I hope you're on and I hope you can answer me here. Some pattern makers will do a muslin sample or a prototype sample first before they actually cut a sample in your actual goods. So are you counting that as the first set of samples, or are you meaning like after that first prototype, a final sample? So I kind of need to know what you're talking about. If you're talking about the first prototype muslin sample, or if you're talking about a final set of samples. So if you can answer me, definitely answer me and let me know. Also, if you're having your pattern made in one place and then having a sample made in another place, that definitely will take a lot longer than having them all made in the same place. Denise says, I'm sending them a physical example. Okay, so you're sending them a reference sample is what I'm guessing. Final set of samples. Okay, good. So past the muslin prototype stage. Okay. So product development, I usually tell people in general, can take anywhere from 4 to 6 months for about, a little mini collection. Let's say you're doing 6 pieces, 8 pieces, something like that. It can take about 4 to 6 months. If you're talking about just one style, I would say it should take no longer than 4 to 6 weeks. And again, there's a lot of variables that go into this. We just did recently, my project manager here in New York, we did 2 samples for a customer. And it took us about 5 weeks to get through the whole sample development process, to do speccing, grading, and marking. It took about 5 weeks for 2 samples. So that gives you kind of a rough idea on how long it could possibly take. But again, there's so many different variables. How busy is your pattern maker? How busy is the sample maker? How complex is the item? Is it super, super complex and there needs to be a lot of thought process into how to develop this? Or are we talking about a basic t-shirt, right? How detailed is the information that you gave them, right? Did you supply a tech pack or a spec sheet or something like that? If they've got a lot of questions going on and they have to ask you questions in order to figure out how to make this product, that's definitely going to slow down the production time, right? Mafi, if you can hop on Instagram and just let people know that we will be back on Instagram shortly, hopefully. I don't know what's going on with my iPad right now. It totally rebooted. Okay. Also, how prepared are you with giving them everything that they need to start the sample making process, right? So did you give them all the information? Are you giving them reference samples? Are you giving them fabric? Are you providing a paper pattern, or do they have to start from scratch, right? So are you giving them everything that they need to actually get started? And I do talk about all of this inside our Source Design Create online class. So if those of you who are interested, I know Denise has already taken it, which is awesome. But those of you who are interested, definitely sign up for that. You can go to fashionninjawarrior.com/design to sign up for that class. of how to do sample development. So it's a 90-minute class. We talk about how to source the right fabrics at the right price, how to develop and merchandise your line so that buyers will want to buy the entire line. We talk about how to interview pattern makers and manufacturers, understanding markup and cost sheets. I take you through my actual foolproof cost sheet template in the class, which is really, really crucial. We talk about fittings and so much more. Plus there's over 16 different worksheets, templates, and scripts to guide you along the way. Okay, Denise says, yes, everything. Yes, it does cover everything. Should I expect them to communicate how busy they are? Yes, but I always like to ask them. So I never leave it in their hands, because if that's the case, they won't, maybe not, I can't say they won't, but they maybe will not put a deadline on it for themselves, right? And they'll just kind of let it keep going. So I always either give them a deadline, like I need this in 3 weeks, right? They don't need to know why you need it in 3 weeks. Just say you need it in 3 weeks, right? Like you're on your own schedule, right? And they need to abide by your schedule. Or you ask them, how busy are you guys? When do you think you'll have this done by? And then make sure it's actually finished by that time. So I do have one factory I'm working with right now that a client of mine needed some pattern changes, and they flat out told me, hey guys, look, these changes are not gonna happen for the next 2 weeks because we're slammed. And that was great that they kind of let me know. We're not really on too much of a tight deadline, but if we were, I would need to know that. And maybe that 2 weeks doesn't work for me, and maybe I have to move it to a different pattern maker or a different manufacturer in order to get it done in the time that I need it done. So you may or may not know, they may or may not tell you. So I always ask and or implement my own deadline and tell them, this is when I need to buy, can you do it? Yes or no, right? And then you just make sure. And if you have a real deadline, make sure you're always giving them a week or 2 weeks before that actual deadline. That way, if something does to happen, if there's a delay, if fabric is ruined, whatever the case, you have 2 weeks of leeway time there, okay? All right, we're still not back up on Instagram. Hopefully the Instagrammers are not upset at me. All right, I think we're getting back here. Okay. Let me go back. Okay, go live, Instagram. All right, guys, sorry we lost you on Instagram. My iPad totally rebooted. I don't know what happened. Anyways, if you're there, hopefully you're still there. Otherwise, you can head on over to the Fearless Fashionpreneur group and finish watching the Q&A live there. Okay, we're doing a live Q&A. If you've got questions, start typing them in. Okay, what else? Okay, so that was all of our questions. So let me go back through. I lost the people on Instagram, but they might come back. Let's see. Let me go back through and see what other questions you guys had on Facebook. All right, here we go. Okay, Daniela has a question. Do you recommend checking out trade shows before we launch? And which ones are best in your opinion for emerging designers in the Bridge area? Okay, yes, I do recommend checking out trade shows. I recommend you walking the show to see who's there. Are your competitors there? Which location, booth-wise, would you like to be in, etc. And which ones do I recommend? Honestly, I don't recommend any trade shows anymore. And the reason is because there are so many trade shows and they're constantly changing. Things that used to be good are no longer good. There's certain time frames that certain ones are good. Most trade shows happen twice a year, but usually only one of them is actually the good one to go to. And so people ask me all the time, which trade shows did I do? I can't give you any recommendations on which ones to do. They're constantly changing. It's so much different from when I used to go to the trade shows. Things have changed so much now, and so many brands are not doing trade shows anymore because they're doing direct to consumer. So it's really a whole new ball game, and I honestly can't recommend any trade shows for you. So I apologize. It's just not something that I can recommend. And because most of my clients don't do trade shows, it doesn't, and it's so specific to your brand and your customer and your product and your price point that there's just so many different ones to choose from nowadays. So it's hard for me to really recommend. Hi, Luma. How are you? Thanks for joining. Hey, guys, on Instagram. Sorry, we had a little bit of a glitch there. So we are back with our live Q&A. Let me just type this in here. If you've got any questions, I'm doing questions from the audience now. So definitely start typing them in. Facebook Live. Okay. So start typing those questions. All right, let me just see. Oh, I don't know why I can't. Okay. All right, Danielle, so I hope that helps. But yes, you should definitely look into the trade shows, walk the trade shows. And half the time I recommend guys going through the showrooms because they'll get you a better deal on the shows if you either have your booth with the showroom or they can get you your own booth but at a discounted rate. So oftentimes I recommend going with a showroom before you go to a trade show. And actually, we're gonna visit a ton of showrooms on our New York City retail tour, which is this Friday. There's actually still one spot left. So if anyone is interested, definitely sign up for that. fashionninjawarrior.com/events. You can sign up for our New York City retail showroom tour. We're gonna be going to a ton of different retail spots in Soho, which are specifically geared towards emerging designers. We're gonna visit a ton of showrooms. We're gonna visit a ton of wholesalers as well, and you're gonna get a list of over 25 different suppliers, wholesalers, showrooms, and retail spots that you can actually sell your product in. So if you have product and you're ready to sell and you're not getting any sales or you're not getting enough sales, this is the tour for you, okay? This is the first time we're doing this tour. All right, let's see what other questions we have here. Rocio, can you say a bit about textile surface design shows? Is that something a designer can benefit from? Yes, textile surface design shows, or the print shows, I like to call them, are great, and you can definitely benefit if you're doing your own custom prints. So if you're designing your own textiles, you're designing your own prints, those are the shows for you to go to because you can purchase artwork, print artwork at those shows that you can then turn into your own customized print, right? So yes, if you're into your own prints, you're doing that sort of thing for your line, you can afford to do that sort of thing for your line because it definitely is an additional cost, then yes, definitely check out the shows. I love them. They usually happen at least twice a year in New York City. I think the next one's coming up in July, and I know they have them in other parts of the country as well. So definitely check those out. Okay. Yi Young Choi, I registered my brand as girls clothing manufacturer. Hopefully I can expand this brand more than just for girls. Is it better keeping this way for now or all others in mind for future? Thank you. I think what you're asking me is as far as trademarking is concerned, that you've trademarked and your category is girls clothing manufacturer. Yes, I would recommend, and I do recommend that you select all of the categories that would apply to you, whether it's now or for the future. That way you're kind of covered. But you can always talk to a trademark attorney. I can recommend one. If you need that information, just DM me and I'll send you that information, okay? Awesome. Okay, Denise, I answered all your questions, I think. Yes. Yi Young, okay, you moved from Instagram. Okay, cool, awesome. Doreen, hey, how are you? Okay, Rocio, I think I answered your question. Let me know if you have another question. Have another retail show. I'm missing it, unfortunately. Oh, the retail tour. Is that what you're talking about? Yes. Daniela, hopefully we will have another one. I have to see how this one goes. We will potentially have another one. Yes. Hey, Trisha La. Hi, Fashion by Precious. How are you? Let's see. Denise, when do you believe that it is an appropriate time to bring on an intern? What steps do you need to take to acquire one? I love interns, guys. I've been using interns my entire life in business, pretty much. Summertime is a great time to get interns because they're out of school. They need it for school credit, etc. So yes, I do highly recommend getting interns. You can go to all the fashion schools. Everybody wants to work with a designer, so it's really, really super easy for you guys to get interns. There's a lot of great websites, freefashioninternships.com, freeinternships.com. There's so many great websites. Indeed, I get a lot of them on Indeed. You just have to make sure you're abiding by your state laws for interns, and that does matter depending on the state that you're in. So if you're in New York City, nyc.gov, I believe, has something, or the Department of Labor website has something in regards to what the rules are for having interns, whether they need to be paid, do they need an hourly wage, etc. There's certain things you have to let them know ahead of time just to make sure that you're abiding by all the rules, because there have been some issues in the past with interns claiming that they were doing work of a full-time assistant and trying to sue you at the end of the internship, saying that they should have been compensated when they weren't compensated. So just make sure you abide by all the laws. The laws are different for every state, so go to your Department of Labor website for your state and make sure you abide by all of those laws, okay? Awesome. Oh, good. A lot of you moved over from Instagram onto Facebook. Great. Okay. We've got time for one last question. Let's see here. We've got a lot of questions. Okay. And I promise any questions we don't get to, I will answer them on the next one. Grandstand Fashion. What is a good amount of inventory to start off with on a tight budget? So that's a really difficult question to ask, or to answer, I should say. I would need a lot more information from you. What type of product are you doing? What's your price point? What's your channel of distribution? All of that is going to make a difference on how much inventory you should start off with. I typically recommend the lowest amount possible because I recommend pre-sale strategy to all of my clients, and we can work on that definitely together. So if you're interested, DM us, set up a 20-minute discovery call, and we'll go over all of our services and how we can possibly work together. Shop, recover, repeat. What should you do to prepare for a textile show? So I'm pretty sure we did an entire Facebook Live. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but we did an entire Facebook Live on how to prepare for a fabric show. If that's what you're in reference to, if you're talking specifically about the print textile shows that I was mentioning before, because Rocio had a question about that, that it would still apply most likely, but you're gonna wanna make sure you know what you're looking for. Number one, you know how much you can afford to spend. Number two, for print specifically, you're gonna wanna know what type of garments you're making. Don't pick a border print for a circle skirt because it's never gonna work, right? So you have to kind of know what type of garment and the body shape and the silhouette that you're looking to fill a print with. And also, what else? Price point I talked about, what you can afford. And then also you need to be prepared, right? Do you have your business cards? Do you have all the information that you need to give these suppliers so that they can contact you, that sort of thing, right? And we have an entire Facebook Live on that. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but I'll put it in the notes on Facebook. Rebel Rose Life, hi, how are you? Thanks for joining. Hi, Nisi, how are you? Maya, thanks for joining. Okay, I think that's all of our questions. Danielle has a question. Do you recommend shipping only in the US first due to shipping costs, or do US free shipping but charge shipments outside the US? Yes, I do like to offer free shipping within the US. I think you should be able to afford it. It's typically about $6. So you should be able to include that in your costs. But no, I would not include free shipping for international shipments, and I would keep it to, you know, certain countries at first, possibly. Keep it really simple, guys, in the beginning. You're not going to want to be shipping all over the world, especially if you're doing all the shipping yourself. But if you're hiring an outside warehouse fulfillment center to ship for you, that's another story. And actually next week on our Facebook Live, we are going to interview Orna from CN Logistics. This is our logistics partner that we've partnered with, and she's going to talk about all about her fulfillment center, shipping. So any of your questions that have to do with warehousing, fulfillment, shipping, Amazon, all that stuff, we're going to talk about next week, Facebook Live, episode number 73. I think it's 73. We're on 72, right, guys? Okay. Awesome. So I think I got through all the questions. Hopefully this was helpful to you guys. Give me a thumbs up. Give me your hearts. Hopefully it was very helpful. We went over a ton of information. Again, if you're interested in taking our Source Design Create class, go to fashionandjewelry.com/design. Don't forget to go back and watch Facebook Live episode number 40 about when to launch, and download the free launch checklist that goes along with that Facebook Live. And then I'll see you all next week, same time, same place, Facebook and Instagram. Actually, sorry, we'll only be on Facebook next week, not on Instagram, because we're doing the interview. So only on Facebook, inside the Fearless Fashionpreneur Facebook group, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks, guys. Hope everyone has a great week. Bye for now.